the end result at 100 yards of my first hour with the brand new Carbon Levitate. What's up, everybody? Unbelievable week. Launch of the new Levitate. It's been killing me that I've been having to blur out these bows for the last 3 months for all you guys, but honestly, this was an unbelievable project, and we've done some production grade reviews and first looks and all that, but I wanted to actually just get down here and talk you through the gritty part of this whole process of how the Levitate came to be. This is actually the first production one that I've held. These three behind are the first colored production ones other than the green, which is pretty freaking awesome. And I wanted to just walk you through this. So if you've seen the specs, which I'm sure you have, this is really the highest end bow to ever hit the market, 3.6 pounds. Honestly, for some of the stuff that we've set up, if you put a fast steady on there, a riddance, you put a lightweight rest on there, the bow hanging with those items on there is actually the same weight as a lot of the other competitors' bows right out of the box with nothing on there, which is phenomenal. But I wanted to walk you through the different aspects of this just to give you a quick rundown if you haven't heard about the specs. These are how the final specs came in. 32.25 for the axle-to-axle length. We've got a 6-inch brace height, which is super forgiving with these brand new cams, and all new E2 cam. And as I do the build, I'll talk with you through a little bit more about all this. But we've also changed the cable rod, which I'm going to show you here in a little bit. 348 is the IBO speeds at 30 inches, 70 pounds. The average speeds that we're getting this new cam is blistering fast, but it's also got a bunch of benefits even above the original Evolve cam system, which is crazy. But this thing has been a true performer. I'm going to hang that one here. So that's a production one. This was the one that was blurred out all season long. So ever since the summer, I've been shooting this one, putting it through the tests. This was actually the third or fourth generation on the cams. It isn't the final generation of the cams. If you get one of these, your cams are actually going to feel even better than the ones that I hunted with. But just to give you a rundown, I had 7 tags, filled 7 tags in 4 states over 7 weeks. This thing performed flawlessly, and it's definitely the most accurate bow I've ever shot. Super easy to handle. This was how mine was set up, but again, this is not a production one, so I'm going to set up a production one, and I'm totally in love with how that smoke color came out. So that's what we're going to be building today. However, this right here is how it all started. Honestly, actually it started with this one, just the riser. This was the very first one, and this is where the DFC Carbon first started. The DFC Carbon is a brand new proprietary carbon layup that in most cases with the type of machine that we've been testing it with, 50% less vibration than previous models, which is insane. Normally when you have a super light bow, it also means that you're going to have some vibration or some residual frequency out to your hand. This has been very, very specifically laid in a specific material that is going to prevent that vibration going all the way to your hand. So it's just the deadest feel in the hand, which honestly, if you're going to get that from other bows on the market, you're going to have to do a lot of suppression to that overall system to get it to happen. You're definitely not going to get that out of a bow that would be out of the box like this. This is one of probably the second or third generation of the cams, just so you can look how that process comes along. This was a little bit more aggressive. We made some tweaks on there. We actually widened the let-off module as well and made a few changes just according to how that felt. We knew that we could get a little bit more performance out of there, but more than anything, the whole start of the new E2 cam was widening this platform, and that allowed us to do a couple things. One, we widened the platform and we were able to go to a brand new bearing system that's the most robust bearing system on the market. There's been some bows out there that have struggled with that. Typically, when you life cycle bows and when you test them, at least for the PSE standards and other companies that I've worked for, a lot of times the testing is done at 90 pounds and you have to life cycle the bow. Normally there comes a point where there's going to be a failure. The failures normally come from bearings or wearable parts or strings or cables. That's normal, honestly. However, we were able, because of this new cam design, we were able to go to the most robust bearing system that we could find, and we were actually able to then put even more load on that if we needed to, but it also actually, I'm trying to think, I think it was 4 to 5 times longer it would live, these bearings. So it just an awesome fact for longevity, but more importantly, repeatability and dependability. And with this wider cam, we are now able to have a wider limb stance, which means more torsional stability and a wider pocket. So we had to actually change the riser so that we could have that wider limb pocket system. So what's awesome about this is even though we have now a more robust cam and bearing, which added some weight, we were actually able to then make a new pocket design that reduced some weight, and then we started to reduce weight in other places as well. One of them, which is a big place for me, is the cable rod connection. If you followed along when I did the NTN design, that NTN design, I took this cable rod system and embedded it into that riser so it could never move. One thing, as a competitive archer, there were times where a dog leg or a bench-shaped cable rod were what was being used. And honestly, I've had times in competitions where those would come loose, and as soon as they come loose and they start to slide in, it means you lose poundage, draw length might change, but more importantly, you start to lose clearance with that arrow. So I really wanted to work on a more simplified system that was just amazingly repetitive, and this was one of the first generations. There was actually several after this, but this system allowed us to put that rod all the way into that bracket, which stabilized the rod, prevented it from ever having any type of a lean or a crack. And it also, we were able to anchor it 100% onto the riser. And we changed that offset. Like this one is quite a bit different than mine, or the production ones are also different than mine. And we fine-tuned that so that when you look at one of these new bows, your cables are exactly on the inside of that riser so that your fletchings will have perfect clearance, but your cables are closer to the center line of the riser so that you prevent any type of twist or torque, because as cables come back on the riser, they start to push on that, and that's why a lot of people have a movable cable rod or something like that. I personally don't like seeing cables come into my sight picture or super close to my arrows, so this is definitely my preferred system. One of the things I didn't talk about, these right here, you're able to have a quick detach sling that will go right into these bezels. So if you want to wear this on your back with a sling of your choice, you can push those right in there. Last but not least, we wanted to kind of make this string stop connection more robust, but also give you the option for a rear stabilization mount. This was one of the first brackets. I really wanted to try to clean up that look cosmetically and taper it in and give you a little bit of an angle, so we were able to follow the profile of that riser and bring it in there. So these are unbelievable. If you look down that cam, this is right out of a box. I haven't adjusted anything on here. You look down these cams, these are as true and straight as possible. You're not having to do that out of the box. As some of you know who are at-home bow mechanics, there's a lot of shimming of cams, twisting of yokes, shifting of limb pockets with some bows out of the boxes. That's not going to be the case with this. The Elevate or the Levitate combined with the Elevate and that Spot Hog sight is the best shooting bow I've ever had, dead true out of the box. And I'm trying to give you an experience that's going to allow you to set these up and have the most accurate bow on the market. The other thing we've done is brought the serving down lower on this power cable. So if any of you at-home mechanics or bow shops are using a QAD rest, this is already pre-served for you down to an optimal length to where you can just feed that cable right through there, tie it off, and you're set up and you're ready to go. Again, we wanted to make this an unbelievable high-end experience, redefine that experience, and I'm certain that the Levitate is going to do that. You're going to get it out of the box, and this thing is going to be totally ready to go. So today, I am going to take a new Levitate rest, new Elevate rest, and I'm going to mount that on there. One of the things with these, I'll just show you really quick. We actually have a new offset Elevate rest, and this offset is made this way specifically for the thicker risers that are on the market, whether it's a PSE EVL, whether it's a Matthews V3, whether it's the new Hoyts with the RX series. A lot of them have a thicker profile now, and that's been done for the direct mounts for some of the other rests on the market, which is fine, but that thicker riser has given some aero rest issues not being able to get far enough over because of how thick that riser is. But on these, we've actually made this to where it's going to fit on there perfectly. It dog legs over, fits up flush, and this should come preset out of the box almost directly at your perfect center shot. So I'll walk you through this during the setup, but I thought I'd give you a quick look at the Levitate. What an awesome bow. Super light, super fast, but dead accurate. This thing's awesome. Let's get a bow build, but more importantly, after I get this built, I'm going to show you just how freaking deadly this is going to be out on the range. All right, I'm going to do a bow build. You guys can follow along. Probably not going to cover everything for this video because I'm sure I'll be doing other ones, but just to give you a quick rundown, you guys will probably follow through in the high-speed version. I'm going to change these modules to my personal preference, which I actually go to the lower let-off just so that I'm legal in all states. And then what I do is I'm going to mount my rest on here. So this is the new Elevate offset rest. So I'm going to mount this on here. Pretty simple, obviously. Mount that on there, and it should be already pre-adjusted. More or less, we're going to put that at 90 degrees. Boop. Nice. Get that straight. And then I'm going to adjust these modules. This goes to 31.5 inches of draw, so the A position would be 31.5. I'm actually going to shoot it at 30.5 is what I shoot it for my hunting rigs. This is going to be my setup for whitetail season. So I'm going to move this to the C position right there, which is easily done with this new cam system. Don't even need a bow press. Just gonna loosen this up. And then it's nice. There's a little pin right here. So you can slide this down and you rotate it and move your pin right into your position, and it fully secures that into place, and then you just snug it back down. One of the things that's cool about the new offset bracket, and it'll have that sticker on the box right there, offset. Like I said, this was made specifically for a lot of the bows, the newer bows. Like I said, if you're a Matthews shooter, if you're going to get one of the new PSE carbons, even some of the, from the EVL moving forward, those risers are going to start to become thicker on the back. And so this thing's preset to where when it's on there, you can see center shot is actually adjusted out of the box to be correct. I really worked diligently on that, and truthfully, once we knew what that position was going to be, we adjusted the thickness of the riser here so that that's going to be straight on. So for any of you who do this at home, it's going to give you an easy setup right out of the gate. So I mount my rest. You can bring it down, make sure you're good to go. You're going to want to make sure you put your pad here on the riser so that as that rest comes down, it's quietly hitting that pad. And then you'll want to use one of the rubber stickers that has the little cradle on the front, which is exactly how I did this one right here. You can see. So I honestly don't want to stop shooting that one, but I want to know how more awesome the actual one is. So we've got that set up. One of the things I did go back to just a standard sight location rather than having multiple holes, which was the case on some of the previous ones. I think with the sights that are on the market, we really just don't need that right now, and we were able to reduce some of the weight by taking those other ones out and just give it a way cleaner look. To be honest with you, I've always just liked simple. I've liked clean. As a hunter, I'm always been a minimalist. You know, I try to hunt with pretty basic clothes, basic backpack, and honestly, I want to be able to have a very basic system too. That setup right there, like I said, 7 tags, 7 weeks, 4 states, never changed a single thing. Every other day I went out and shot some arrows. It was always right on. But that right there is a pretty freaking slick setup. And again, this thing is weighing under 5 pounds built, which is pretty much where a lot of bows that are flagship bows for other companies are coming out of a box naked. So it gives you the ability to totally weight this thing or have different options. I'm going to be shooting, this is a 530 grain arrow. I'm shooting a Easton Axis 300 with 50 grains of brass and a brass knock 4-fletch. It's pretty much a knock on pre-fletch. That's going to be my arrow. So all we got to do now is knock sets, D-loop, peep sight, and this thing's going to be going through a piece of paper. First is knock point. I'm going to give you a quick little tip though. A lot of times I use a little brass knock like this. Just have one laying by your press. And you can put that on to where when you hold your arrow down, your arrow's at 90 degrees. And that way, when you turn this and put it in the press, a lot of times your arrow moves. I got this serving kind of perfect. It's got a good snap, but it also is free spinning, which I like. But that little brass knock, just as a temp, lets you put it at 90 degrees, and then once you slide it here in your press and put it into place, you can just lightly slide that to that brass knock, tie your top knocking point, and you're good to go. That way when you pick it up out of the press, you can double check that you're 90, and 90% of the time I am. The other 10%, I was an idiot and bumped it when I put it in there. So tie knocking sets. Oh, whoa, surprise, going with green. And you know how we do this. Double over and unders. Put that right there, hold my brass knock, and slide that down as tight as possible, just like that. Cinch it in place. Tying it as tight as I can do it, oftentimes until it cuts into my fingers or some other part of my hand. Usually all these are cut by the end of the season, but you don't want your knocking points to move, and this is the best way to do it. These things have been setting up so awesome. Actually, while I'm filming this, I just got a call from one of my buddies that's at a leading shop, and he actually got one of the Levitates in, is doing a setup right now, just sent me pictures at 20, 30, 40, and 50 yards, and his comment was, sorry, my 50-yard group is a little bit high in the spot. He said, I can't actually move my 50-yard pin close enough to my 40 because this thing is so much faster than my other bow, which is good news. And it's honestly what I've seen too. Just to give you an idea, in years past, normally I shoot around a number 17 or 18 for my spot hog sight scale. Here's what I'm shooting on this Levitate right here. I'm actually shooting a 25, and here's what's cool about it, and this actually worked on my elk in Colorado. I keep it at 22 yards. My second pin is then 40. Top pin's 22, so I'm talking bottom of the heart at 20, or halfway up at 30. We're good. 40's bang on, and this year on my Colorado bull, I was sneaking up to him, and all of a sudden the wind swirled. He swirled around, came back around, and as he was coming around, I was able to just get a quick range, and he actually stopped at 40 yards. I drew back, used the second pin. I knew it was on 40, and just smoked him. So that extra speed has definitely played a part this year and is awesome. So, all right, I've got that one tied. And now you can take your brass knockoff and you can tie your bottom one. Looking good. Top knot, bottom knot, and next is going to be my peep sight. And then I do my D-loop, because a lot of times you have to add a twist or so to your peep sight. And you don't ever want your D-loop pointing a different direction. You want your peep sight facing straight back. You want your D-loop facing straight back. Otherwise, you end up having your D-loop contact the back of your arrow shaft, which I've seen a lot in high-speed testing. I used to do a lot of high-speed footage in Europe for some companies, and D-loop swing was one of the things that affected arrow flight. A lot of people overlook it. Ooh, please be in the right spot. Oh, dang. I thought I got that lucky to where it was exactly perfect, but no. That wouldn't be me. Of course, I was way off, and now I gotta redo it. Oh, yeah, see now. That's more me, where you have to do something to it to make it work. I never get that lucky to have a perfect peep in the first go. I might be kind of lucky. Let's see. Boot, there's 6. Mine, from the top of my arrow nock to the center of my peep, is 6 inches. And you can see right here, my peep is pointing. It seems like they're always this way. They're always pointing to like 9 o'clock. So watch, I'll put this in the press. If your peep isn't facing the right direction, that's a string issue, and it's a string rotation issue, and you need to fix it this way. If you fix it any other way, it's a band-aid. Then you end up having issues with your D-loop contacting your back of your arrow. That's not good. So you just want proper alignment, front to back. And some people will deal with peep rotation because of how they tie the peeps. You don't want to add twists. You don't want to serve in type stuff, because the more twist and serving that you're putting on that string when it's not built under load, you end up having slight rotations. So one turn turns your peep 90 degrees. So you can see here I'm at 90 degrees. And now all I have to do is tie this in. If you want to, you could put your D-loop on right now, or you could tie your peep in at this point in time. Either way, but I normally like to put that peep in first, get it rotated, and then tie the D-loop. It'll really prevent any type of frustration down the road. This is like a non-coaching full speed. Have we ever done that, Caleb, where we actually are just like going with like my full finger speed, muscle memory in it? That's cool. I wish I could like play my guitar like this. Someday I could wish. Whenever I have students and I show them these, they think this is much easier than it is, but if you slowed my fingers way down, you'd see that as I'm doing this, I'm actually untwisting the extra twists that I'm doing as I'm going. I really don't even know how I'm doing it. I just know that if I don't, it looks like poop. And then I end up cutting it off and redoing it. Whereas like that is gold. You focus in on that? Look. God, that's what you want. Looks like a noose. Where animals can hang themselves. They hang themselves if they get in front of the pins. If that peep is looking at an animal, it's a dangerous time. I take a piece of D-loop like this. I wrap it around the string, go under your knots that you just tied, and you can slide them up tighter right to where you are. And ooh, look at that. It's perfect. Looks good. Nice and tight. Make sure you don't forget to tie around that peep. A lot of the newer bows on the market, and I've seen it at a lot of tack events, a lot of the newer bows have less string tension at rest than in years past. And honestly, there's a lot of different companies making peeps, and you're not always getting a really quality peep. I love these because I've used them for 30 years. But you do want to tie your peep in. Here's the easiest way to do it. You know, again, I like these knots so I can always move them if I need to adjust my peep. But I just go one over the top, and I'll tie just like this. One over the top. Boom. Pull it tight. Go one over the top to this top part. Tie. And then tie one more time on top. So you're making a square knot right there on top. And what's nice about this for a few things is, one, most importantly, it's going to prevent this peep from ever popping out of your string. So God forbid someone pulls your bow back and like half dry fires it or something, that'll project a peep out pretty fast. And I've seen peep sights come out many times, and they are projectiles and they are dangerous. But the other thing about doing it this way is, one, it's tied in and secure. But if I need to make a turn in my string to adjust my peep, here's how easy it is to take this off. Because we tied it that way, you can take a razor, you can just go right in the top of this peep in that trough, and you can just pop that little burn knot right there, hit that, and that'll come undone. And then you can remove your peep, adjust it, flip it around, whatever you need to, and then again, it's like 3 ties and you're locked in. That's how I've always done it, and it doesn't move. Another really good protocol is, when your peep is in the correct position, just get a marker, and I mark my peep right here on this top line. I'll mark it there, and I'll mark it there, like that. And then on this side, I'll mark it right there, and I'll mark it right there. So you can see I kind of have those 3 lines. And that's important because if you ever have your bow in a backpack, if you ever carry it that way, or if you have someone grab it and slide it and they accidentally slide that peep, you can just have quick reference marks right away to know that you're good to go. Yeah, those ones up here, they've been weathered all year, but they're totally where they need to be. So you can see, here I'll show you this one. This one is several months old now, probably did 300 miles in the backcountry. And it was a little bit worn here. I had it on a backpack several times. Ooh, there's that fly. Yeah, oh, he's wounded, dang. But I actually did a little bit of treatment on this with some of our string wax, put it in there, burn it in. It's technically not wax. I don't know why I call it that, but I'm just used to by habit. It melts right in. It's perfect. So now the last thing to do is to put a D-loop on there. And I don't know, green or black. Don't know. All right, you convinced me. Green. Okay. Let's put this on there. So, I'm sure you've seen me do this. Make a J. Put it on your side of the string on the top. Flip your J underneath. Pull both ends through, just like this. I'm a huge believer in not having a pre-cut D-loop cord. It's so annoying. You don't get all sides of it tight that way, and you end up separating your serving. So I grab it close with pliers and I roll, and that's just sinking it in. I squeeze it tight there, squeeze it tight there. Again, grab it close and then roll. And that thing is, you can see I can move my whole string that way. So tight. And then I'll cut this. Roll this so it's pointing up. Fuzz it up. Don't loosen it, just fuzz that part. Get that going. Smash it in. Perfect. Look how tight that is everywhere. It's tight all the way around. And then you can grab this longer piece. I've got it wrapped around 3 fingers and I pry with my thumb. That's good. Then I flip it to the opposite side. So I'm going over to the other side. Coming towards yourself. Get this at about 5/8. Come towards yourself, then through the middle. Try to get this really tight, like this. Tight. As tight as you can. Stay on top, towards yourself. Under. Through. Pull it over as tight as possible. Then squeeze. And then once again, you're going to grab and you're going to roll out all that slop. And that's getting out on all the slop on this side, which you don't get with a pre-cut piece. You only ever tighten the center and separate your serving. Then get it close, squeeze it. Again, take out all that play. There's one more twist, but you can see how much slop I've taken out of this side of the D-loop right there. And then we're going to cut. I grab the string, turn it up, flames go up, roll it, and get that burning in. Press it right in there. Perfect. So that's got the perfect turn for my release. And now I'm going to put this in here and stretch it to 1/4 inch. That thing is locked and ready to knock. Pumped. I love this color. I don't know what it's officially called yet. I should, but I don't. So yeah, that right there is starting to come along. Be thinking of a name for it, everybody. That's your job. All right, so now what I'm going to do, Last but not least is I'm going to go with my direct drive to my cable. So for that, all I'm going to do is take some of my D-loop cord. I'm going to tie a little knot. Tie one knot there. I'm actually going to tie a double knot, just like this. So pretty much got a double knot. Boom. I love these pliers because I've got this little hole right here. Pull that out like that. Get that slop out of there. Get that slop out of that. I'm going to burn that down. And from there, I will have enough to go from my PBTS to my rest, which is about that far. Cut that. I'll normally burn that cut end, pinch it so that it'll feed through that pretty easy. And then from there, all I'm going to do is I go from the back forward. So I'm going from the back forward just like this. That's there. Now I'm going to bring this right up through my rest like that. And just that easy, that rest is pretty much set to go. And then now what I'll do is I will, well, you can see our 90 degrees was good. I'll look over the top, our preset, ooh, right on the money, right down the pipe. So with that case in point, all I'm going to do is put this Allen wrench in here. I'm going to pull this down, use the leverage, pull that down, pull the cord tight, and tighten. I'm dropping everything. Tighten this up. Perfect. And I forgot to put my sticker on my riser. Other than that, this baby's ready for the first shot. So let me put my arrow pad on there, and I'm going to trim off this excess, tie it down. We're ready to rip. I just tied this right here. I flip that down, tie a little bit of over and under knots right there, and then do the same thing right there so that when you draw this back, your excess cord doesn't feed all the way back through. That's kind of all I do. And then the very last thing that I'll do on this setup is I'll loosen these two screws on the elevate, because it's going to be down. This will always be all the way down, just depending on how you set up your riser. So once this is set up, you can see I've got my arrow cradle on the riser. I'm going to take my finger and I'm going to lift that cage up so it's supporting the center of the blade. And then I'm going to tighten these down all the way. And that's the last things I do on my arrow rest. The new Elevates have a brand new launcher blade too. I've been using it for about a year. We've got a brand new blade that's almost 3 times thicker and have a new over molding on there. I'm really pumped with it. All right, well, time to see what's up. So there it is. Needs a name, needs to go up on the board. I think it's freaking awesome. All right, let her rip. So, and I don't know, this one might be 75 pounds. It could be an 80 pounder, I don't know, but I know it's a heavy. I did want a heavy one, which is what it should be. So, man, that looks freaking awesome. Everything looks sweet. First shot. That settles that. Oh boy, that was freaking ripping fast. Bullet right out of the gate. This thing's ready to get out on the range. Well, we'll make it earn a name, but holy cow, look at this. first official off the production line build. That was amazing. I love how clean this thing looks. I mean, it is freaking light. That is so awesome. That's exactly what you're going to see me kill a whitetail with right there. All right, next thing is let's get out in the yard, get a sight tape dialed for this, and oh, wow, look at that. Get a sight tape dialed and watch this thing freaking crack arrows at 100 yards. Welcome to the sight-in. First morning I could see some breath. It's awesome. This is the first morning of whitetail right now, truthfully. Cold front moved in. I've got the new Levitate out here, and we're gonna go ahead and get a sight tape. Got my sight tape right there. Gonna zero in at 20, stick my calibration scale on, get my 60, put the regular sight tape on, and then we're gonna just prove how awesome this bad boy is out here on the range. Let's see how my first guess is. Okay, well, let's go right there. Let's go right there. It's even in the center of my block. All right, quick adjustment. 20 for height is pretty much dead center, so if you haven't ever done this before, this is how easy it is. You're gonna cut out one of these calibration scales right here and cut out this calibration scale. Boom. And then all you're going to do, now that you're totally zeroed at 20 yards, you're going to put this 20-yard mark right on that needle. But here's what I do. So I'll peel about half that or 3/4 of that off, sticky part, and then I always keep a non-sticky part on there so that I can easily lift it off when the time's right. So we've zeroed in my 20. Now we're going to put this calibration scale on right there, 20 yards. I'm going to lay this down, and as a rule of thumb, I always go to like number 20 on my personal setups as a quick reference. Just based on my original one, I'm actually going to go to like number 24 personally as a guess for my 60. So now we'll go back to 60, and we're going to do the same thing. We're going to sight in at 60 and see what number our calibration scale lands on. Took a wild guess where my 60 is going to be. Let's see how close. Whoa, that is fast. Jeez. That's why I got that big bail down there for these sight ins. So yeah, this production model is obviously even faster than my original prototype from 4 months ago, which they had told me the new cams were faster, but as of right now, I'll have to tell you where I end up, but this is pretty amazing. Okay, shot 2 is dead freaking center in that white. This is what I got for my freaking birthday at 45. Cheaters. And what Good grief, 29. That is unbelievable. 529 grain arrow. This bow pulled right at 77 pounds. And I'm literally going to be shooting a number 29 sight scale. So based on the math of that, I think my 20-yard pin is going to be my top needle. 40 will be the second needle. That's about as awesome as you could get right there. Holy freaking smokes. The new E2 cam, blistering fast. This is literally the less than 10 shots out of this bow at all, which is pretty freaking astounding. Dead center. Golly, that's insane. I'm glad you guys were here for this. This is totally impromptu. This is my first run with the production cams. And I gotta make sure I'm seeing that right. 29. It's the fastest sight scale I've ever used in 35 years. That's gonna be the tightest hunting gap I've ever used with an arrow that's 530 grains dang near. What a freaking rocket. Good grief. Okay. Go. Go. If anyone needs this middle sheet, I'm going to be able to give them away now. Good grief. Alright. I'm going to go, actually going to go with this one right here. I'm going to go with 28 because once I've got broad heads, sometimes you have a little bit more drag. I normally like being just a little bit half yard hot. So I've never cut on this side of the sticker scale before. Gosh. Okay, so now I'm going to remove, I'm not going to move my sight. I'm going to remove this, which is, should be my 60-yard mark. And I personally, whenever I do these, I always leave your sight scale number on the top of my sticker. That way, if I ever have to replace it, I know. So now I'm just going to line up 60 right there, stick it on, and we're able to go to triple digits in less than 10 shots. But look at this. As a bow hunter with that kind of speed, all right, so as a Western hunter, if you know you're in a little bit longer shot, look at this. If you have your top pin on 40, second pin's 55. Go to 50, 64. What amazing gaps right there. That is a ridiculous setup. Not to mention now I totally have the option to even go to a heavier arrow if I wanted to go to an FMJ. If I wanted to go to like a, say a 260 spine and load it with 75 grains of brass instead of the 300 spine with 50 grains of brass, I could weigh that arrow down more, have even more momentum, more kinetic energy, and then be a little bit slower in speed. But since for right now I'm shooting mechanicals, I'm going to take that speed all day long. Rutting whitetail, that's going to be so easy. 20-yard pin, anything in the 30s, I just put 20 on top of the body, 40 on bottom of the body. Anything at 40, I'm dead on. And honestly, even if it was at 50, 40 pin at the top of the back on a whitetail and it's dead meat. All right, let's test this baby at the long distance. All right, we came back to 100, and I had to reveal the buffalo because if you're gonna check 100, you want to check it on a bison, just because. This is Luna's danger zone. So for those of you watching, watch your step. This is a lot of landmines around this area. Alright, so triple digits, Hundy, right there. We may need to fine tune lefts and rights this distance, but let's go for that buff. Okay, looks like we're about 2 inches low. That's me. I'm 45. I'm gonna have to start to expect that. This arrow has a little bit of hunting residue left on it, so it might have a little extra drag. It's got some lung foam on there. That was the adjustment. Alright, so we're going 1, 2 more, because I'm on the right edge of that little piece of paper. And let's see. Yep, 100. And well, we're at 100.5. Dang it. So that's how freaking good this thing shoots after approximately a dozen arrows total. We're able to just walk that thing right into the paper. So I'm gonna pull these and then let's give it a little bit of more shooting, maybe even a little bit of more distance. All right, well, Caleb was just telling me he just is used to arrows leaving the frame of the camera and coming back in whenever we're shooting this distance, but as you can probably see, those things are freaking ripping. The arc is incredible, or I should say how minimal the arc is. Normally I don't do this, but let's see how far I can get with clearance. I think we can get to 120 bottom of the tape. Okay, well, we were able to find the bottom of the sight scale, which is right here. And yeah, let's see what this Levitate can do. I haven't ever been in this area before. As you can see, it's got wheelbarrows and snowplows. So let's do it. Oh, it's a 10 at 3 o'clock. All right, I need just a couple more clicks right. Height looks freaking perfect. Let me give it one more. I just cleared that one limb. Any slower wouldn't have happened. All right, here we go. Oh, bottom of the 10. All right, we're testing right here. There you go, 78 pounds right there. This arrow is as close as I can get to 390. It's actually 389.4. I'm going to set this chronograph to 389.4. And so this is 5 grains per pound, but keep in mind that this is real, okay? I'm going to shoot this through the most accurate chronograph I can find on the market. Okay, top of the dot, right there. 342 feet per second with a 5 grain arrow. But that, keep in mind, this isn't what you would do if you were doing marketing and you're gonna make an ad. We've got a D loop, we've got tied nocks, we've got a tied in peep, and we've got a peep, and we've got a cord. So typically when you're gonna get a speed number, that's gonna be with one small tied knock on the string and a release that has no drag at all on the string. So that's a real number right there. Here's another real number. My personal hunting arrow. So 529 grains. Let's go here. Let's see. Turn this off. Turn it back on. Just to show you. Okay, we're gonna go down. Project weight, and we're going to go to 529 grains. This is again the most accurate chronograph on the market. It's not like I've calibrated it to be as fast as possible, which some companies do. I've seen it. Right there, 529 grains, and we're ready. So here is my hunting bow with a 529 grain arrow. In the dead center of the X, 298 feet per second. So the numbers are real, the hype's going to be real. We have redefined the high-end bow market. The Levitate is the fastest, most accurate bow, and at this point, 7 filled tags, the most killing bow I've ever started a season with, and you're gonna freaking like it.